Hello students, welcome to the answer writing program. So today we will be discussing 3 questions from GS3 Economy, and the topics are infrastructure and investment, international economic organizations and development finance institutions. So let's take an overview of all the 3 questions. First question is related to the India's improvement in the logistic ecosystem. Second question is related to infrastructural developmental challenges in northeastern region of India. The third question is related to the challenges faced by Indian Railways. So let's start with the very first question. India's improvement in its logistic ecosystem is a reflection of country's overall competitiveness and global positioning. Explain. The question is asking that India's logistic ecosystem has improved. Now we need to write how and why. Like we need to give some data. We need to substantiate this, that what India has done to improve its logistic ecosystem. So this is the major demand of the question. Let's start with the introduction. In introduction, you can write simply about the definition of logistics, and you can tell about some India's ranking in the Global Logistic Performance Index. So now let's understand what is logistics, or what is all this logistics ecosystem is about. Now, logistics is about the planning and execution of transportation of goods and services from one point to another. It includes transportation, it includes storage, inventory system, warehousing, packaging, etc. So all these things are related to logistics. Now we have the goods. Now we want to transport it from one place to another. This is logistics. And for the transportation, we need other things as well, like the inventory management, warehousing, packaging, transportation, storage houses. So all these systems or all these aspects are logistics facility. Okay. So now, India, there are some issues with respect to logistics. Logistics means, in simple words, we can say about the transportation cost or the storage cost. Together, this is logistics. Like the amount what we are spending for the movement of the goods from one place to another is logistics, in the simple, very general terms. Now, India has the huge logistic cost with respect to their GDP. Means when we are producing goods and to take it to the market, the logistics cost is high in India. But in the recent times, government has come up with one report. They have said that India is ranked 38th in the World Bank's Logistic Performance Index. It has been improved by the 6 places, and logistics cost is also about 9% of the GDP. But accordingly, this is according to the union's government, some report. Earlier, it was said that it's approximately 13% of the GDP, but now they are saying that it is approximately 8%, 8.9%, or you can say approximately 9% of the GDP. It means it has substantially reduced. For that, what Indian government has done, we need to see this. Okay. So earlier, and also what are the issues with respect to the logistics ecosystem? Now let's understand why the logistics cost is high. When the transportation from one place to another, the cost is high with respect to the transportation. First, when the connectivity is not there, let's suppose I am staying here, I am a farmer, I want to send some product over here. This is like Delhi, some hinterland, which is not connected directly to the railways. So first, what I have to do? I have to transport my product from here to the rail track or to the railway, like via roadways, via trucks. Then from here again I have to do some contract with this logistics contractors. Then they will send till like here. Again, they do not have the road connectivity or the railway connectivity. Again, one truck I have to take on the contract, like for this logistics. So see, multiple point systems are there, like I have to again and again hire some contractors to send my products, because the connectivity is not there, because the infrastructure is not there. So the very foremost issue with respect to the logistics systems in India is about the infrastructure. There are the infrastructural gaps, connectivity gaps. Multimodal transport system is not there. Like if I have to transport my produce from here to here, first I have to take the truck, then via railways, then again via some truck. Let's suppose I have to export it. Again, I have to send it via shipping ways, or let's suppose take not the farmer, take another example, via airways. Again, I have to, at the different point of time, I have to hire different contractors to send my products. So, and also these contractors are approximately 70% inorganized or informal. And multimodal connectivity, logistics connectivity is not there. Now let's understand what is this multimodal logistics network or the transportation system is. Transportation of goods from one place to another via the different modes of transportation, like trucks, train, again truck, or maybe you can say ship. I am hiring different people on the different pathways from one place to another. Now what multimodal is, the contractors or the logistics support whosoever is providing me, they have the different logistics multi-modes are there under one logistic facility only, and I have to hire only one logistic contractor. He has the services in all the domains of the connectivity on this path. Now I'll not be responsible to hire different people for my different pathways or the connectivity. I'll only hire one. He has the logistics facility or the logistics supports in all the, or you can say the different modes of transportation. Now I'll sit free. I am hiring only one contractor or the facility, logistic facility. Now he has the responsibility to take care of my produce from here to here, then here to here, then here, etc. So this is also very less in India, multi-modal logistics transport. Okay, so these are some infrastructural gaps. Next is about how the logistic cost can be reduced. If I want to send my produce from here to like here, if we are saying that okay, we need to build the infrastructure first, multi-modes of transport, logistics, transportation should be there. Next is about the way we are sending. Let's suppose the trucks, let's suppose the trains, they should be very efficient. Their speeds should be very high. Even if we'll say that speed is not very high, at least they are high speed, not very, if we can take. So there should be very efficient. There should be very huge or large vessels, or what we can say wagons should be there, so as to transport the products at the one go, like in the huge quantities. So the wagons or the cargos should, the cargos facilities should be very efficient. Next is about the corridors, whatever we are saying. Let's suppose we have made the infrastructure. Till now, here to here, there was no roadways, or you can say any railways were not there. But now, even if we had made one track over here, let's see, the passengers are also traveling on that same pathway. The freight is also, freight means the cargoes, the goods, the produce. So these passenger trains are also running on that track only, and the cargoes are also running on that track. So it causes the delays, it causes the congestion on the tracks. So what can be the possible solution? We can make dedicated freight corridors. Okay, so these are some issues. Let's see what India has done in this particular regard to remove the obstacle or to reduce these roadblocks in the pathway of the good logistic ecosystem. Let's start with the introduction. You can put some data. This we have already discussed. You can give some definition as well. Moving on to the that current status of the logistic ecosystem, you can tell about some value that India's logistic ecosystem is estimated to be this and it is expected to reach till this. And if the value or the worth of this logistic ecosystem is expected to increase to this particular level, so we should be very careful and the cautious that how we are improving it, like how, in what ways we are making the infrastructural development so that the logistics cost in the future should be reduced to very less, so that we can withstand with the global economies in our production cost. Whatever we are the produce we are selling in the market, it should be more competitive. And what and how the produce can be more competitive? One way is about reducing the logistics cost. Okay. Next is about when the worth is so high, it will give the employment opportunities to these many people till 2027. Next is about it has a growth potential of 12% compounded annually growth rate. Okay. Now moving on to the different aspects how India has improved its logistic performance. Now you can divide your answer into the multiple subheads, like what India has done with respect to the policies, with respect to the infrastructural development, how India has taken care for the technological advancements, technology integration, then how it has increased the efficiency. These four things we have discussed in the what are the challenges. If we know what are the challenges or what were the challenges in the logistic ecosystem, we can write very easily that what India has done in all those dimensions. Okay. Now, first is about the policy initiative. Like we discussed that connectivity is not there. So, government has come up with the master plan. How master plan? PM Gati Shakti initiative. It finds out the critical infrastructural gap. What are the critical infrastructure gaps? What are the gaps, like where the road is not there, where the railways are not there, where the shipways are not there, airways, etc., etc. And so that it is a master plan, like the integrated or the holistic approach from the different ministries or the department, so as to improve the connectivity issues, so as to reduce the connectivity issue, or so as to improve the connectivity infrastructure at one go, like increasing the multimodal transport system. Like if we have one point to this and we have some like railways till here and like shipway from here to here and some roadways was there, but it is not connected till A to B. So what this PM Gati Shakti is doing, it is taking care of like what is the infrastructural gap. We have the different modes, but they all are in the silos, segregated. So instead of just again laying one track from here to here, railway track, and from here to here, we are connecting the roads, whatever the existing infrastructure is there, we are improving the connectivity between them only. Like the road was there, we are connecting it till the railways is there. Then we are connecting it till the shipways are there. So the PM Gati Shakti initiative, it is a master plan finding out the critical infrastructural gap, improving them, reducing the logistics cost and stimulate the economic growth. Next is about National Logistic Policy. National Logistic Policy, the government has come up with this policy, the specific rules that how the logistic system will work. What should be the criteria, how these systems will work, track system, digitally and technologically enabled system, how we can reduce the costs for this logistics, how it can be resilient, how it can be sustainable and trusted ecosystem. As we have discussed that 70% of the logistics facilities are provided by the informal or the unorganized sector. So this logistic policy will track those people as well, will take into the mainstream and track the whatever and wherever the product produce is going, so that as to increase the efficiency, it would be the tech enabled ecosystem, so that, like, suppose one truck has to go from here to here, but here very huge congestion or traffic, you can say, is there. So this system, like, we will develop some system that it will say that don't go via this track, go via some other, so as to reduce the congestion. So this, via this policy, we are developing this logistics ecosystem very efficient. How very efficient? By improving the connectivity, by using the various technologies, new advancements, so as to make it more and more efficient. Okay, next is about infrastructural development. So to reduce the cost of the logistic, we need to increase the infrastructural facilities. So for that, India has come up with a dedicated freight corridor. It is from Ludhiana to Kolkata via Delhi, and from here Delhi to Mumbai. Dedicated freight corridor means it is dedicatedly been built for the freight movement. Freight means the cargo. So this part is almost ready. The first train has already been operational. This is in process. It will be also be done within few months, or in the ongoing year maybe. So this is to improve the efficiency of the connectivity, dedicatedly given to the freight movement, and this is being built by the Japan. This pathway is being built with the help of World Bank, and some portion is directly under the Ministry of Railways, and some is about on the PPP model. So yes, we are doing the infrastructural development with respect to this. Next is, we are investing a huge amount in capital expenditure. We have already seen in the budgeting class also that last year it was 10 lakh crores were allocated to the infrastructural development. So yes, from there it will go to the railways as well, and to the whole transportation system. Next is about the technology integration. Again, tech-enabled ecosystem, how the technology would be there from one point to the another point, till how in the whole supply chain what can be done to increase the efficiency, so as to reduce the delays, enhances the efficiencies. For this, government has come up with the ULIP, Unified Logistic Interface Platform. Next is about government is doing the digital transformation. Next is about how the government has improved the efficiency and how it is improving, like connecting the different modes of transport, Sagarmala, Bharatmala, connecting all whatever the existing infrastructure is there. So they are increasing the efficiency of that ecosystem and connecting those already been built ecosystems. Next is about multimodal logistics park. Now, what is multimodal logistics park? Multimodal, we now understood that multimodal is the transportation via the different modes of transport. Multimodal logistics park. Parks means like something like complex. So they are connected like a hub and spoke model. So here it is connected to the railways, some complex that is being connected to the railways, roads, airways, and the shipping. So the produce or the manufactured product or whatever the cargoes are, they can directly come over here and pack over here and transport to the some other place. And some small other facilities like grading, storage, customs clearance, tax clearances, etc. It all can be done at one place, so that the produce, whatever we are transporting, it should not move here and there just to do small things. Like if we are getting the facility of, like, let's suppose take an example of agricultural produce. So the sorting and grading, once it is being here, it will be done over here only, the sorting and the grading of the produce, etc. And then packaging of that particular produce for the exports. Now what we'll do, from here to here it has come up over this multimodal logistics parks. Now it will go via shipways to the exports systems. Okay, so these are the facilities that have the huge complex, so that the multiple facilities are provided over there, so as to reduce to movement of the produce, to to restrict the movement, to reduce the logistics cost. And also let's see via different roads, like let's suppose from Mumbai, Pune, Thane, Delhi, Punjab, everything, like small trucks or the railways, it has got reached to the multimodal logistics park from the different small trucks. Then from here it goes to the very big wagon or the trucks in one go, so as to reduce the transportation cost, so as to reduce the logistics cost. Okay, moving on to the conclusion, what we can write? We can write some future outlook, that we can put some growth projection, that this sector is expected to rise by this much. This we have seen in the introduction also. So for that, to make India Viksit Bharat by 2047, and the GDP, the worth or the value of the Indian economy, so that we need to fulfill that particular aim, we need to improve our infrastructural issues, whatever there are, we need to work on that. And for that, one major portion is the logistics facility. We have to improve on that, and we need to improve our logistics ranking as well, among the top 25 countries. Okay, moving on to the model answer, starting with some definition, then current status, aspects that has led to the good performance in the logistics, then this we have already discussed. Okay, then finally conclusion. Moving on to the next question, discuss the various infrastructural developmental challenges associated with the northeastern region of India. So this is the first demand. Also, we need to mention the measures taken by the government of India to enhance the connectivity. So the second is about what Indian government has taken measures to increase or improve the connectivity of this northeastern region. So in introduction, what you can write? You can write that yes, this northeastern region has been relatively underdeveloped from the past few decades also. So there is a limited connectivity, there is the geographical issues with respect to that particular place, and that northeastern region is connected to the other part of the India via just a very thin corridor, that is known as the Siliguri corridor. So taking care of the strategic location of northeastern region being bordered by the international, we have the international borders all around China, then Myanmar, then Bangladesh, Bhutan, etc. So taking care of that strategic location of northeastern region, so it is very imperative that this region should be developed, and this region should be well connected to the other part of the country as well. So for that, just to take care of this very big strategic location, and for the holistic development of this particular region, India has made the specific Ministry of Development of Northeastern Region, DONIER. Okay, so this way you can start the introduction. Moving on to the body, we need to write some challenges. Again, you can divide your challenges with respect to what are the governance challenges in northeastern region, geographical challenges, environmental challenges, security and resources challenges. Now with respect to the governance challenges or the policy administrative challenges, you can say, in northeastern region, there are the multi-layered governance system. There are the regulatory issues. Let's see via an example. Some of the regions are under the Schedule 6, like MATM, Mizoram, Meghalaya, Assam, Tripura. So, Constitution has provided the authority to the district councils to take care. So, this limits the state government's authority. So, there are the issues with respect to the land acquisition, etc. So, yes, there are the governance issues because the multi-layered governance are there. Overlapping jurisdictions are there, regulatory frameworks are not properly developed. Coming on to the geographical issues. Now, what are the geographical issues with respect to northeastern region? The first is about the rugged terrain. Mountainous region, it is under like the Himalayan region is there. So mountainous region, hills, plateaus, rivers is there, dense forest is there. So this poses the challenges with respect to the infrastructural development. So it is very time consuming and cost consuming. And also due to these cost overruns, time overruns, it causes the delays in the projects. Next is about geographical implication about it is in the earthquake prone region. It is under the zone 5 seismic zone or the seismic range. So very huge infrastructural development can poses another challenges in this region. So again, these are the issues with respect to that. Next is about this whole region is approximately landlocked with respect to India. So landlocked states plus limited connectivity, again it poses a challenge. Next is about environment. Environmental challenges are, this is ecologically sensitive zones, and India has the 4 biodiversity hotspots out of 36 globally known hotspots. Out of that, one is Himalayan ecosystem, Himalayan biodiversity hotspot. All of the northeast and the Himalayan regions are under this. So very huge mega projects hampers the biodiversity. It can destroy these biodiversity. So these are the environmental challenges. So the topography of the region is again very vulnerable. Top layer of the soil, then agricultural practices, all these aspects creates the environmental challenges. Next is about the security challenges. Like this region, insurgency is there, then ethnic conflicts are there. Again, all these things do not make the conducive environment for the infrastructural development. Next is about the limited resources. Yes, they have the very good potential of the natural gas, the Assam region. But again, after that, this region, due to its topography, due to its geology and geography, it do not have the very high potential of the resources, and even if it has, we cannot exploit it due to again the topographical reasons. Okay, so moving on to the measures, what government is doing and what more can be done. So with respect to the infrastructural, transport infrastructure, what government is doing with respect to road, railways, air, water, last mile connectivity. With respect to road, it is connecting through the Bharatmala project. Northeastern specific infrastructure developmental schemes have come up. Northeastern road systems development schemes are there. So out of these new road projects, like out of these two schemes, 77 road projects are being sanctioned. Then coming to the rail, new rail projects are onto the way. Then air, a regional connectivity scheme, Udan scheme, they are providing the subsidies to connect those northeastern region. Next is about waterway. We are developing National Waterway 2, that is on the Brahmaputra, and 16, that is on the Barak River, so as to take care of the infrastructural gaps. Then last mile connectivity, SARDP, Special Accelerated Road Development Program is there to connect the unconnected different states, like in the northeastern region, connectivity from the one state to another. Then with respect to energy, this can be the high potential for the renewable sources of energy. So India is doing the projects for that. Next is about communication. Then again, mobile, broadband, 5G under this BharatNet. So the next is about the industrial development. So Northeastern Industrial Development Scheme has come up for this, to set up the industries, to give the tax incentive, to give the subsidies, so that the industrial sector will get a boost over that there. Next is about the logistics facilities, again Prime Minister, development of Northeastern region. Next is we are also enhancing people-to-people connectivity via Yuva Sangam. So next is about the international connectivity. So India has come up with the project like Kaladan Multimodal Project, Indo-Bangladesh, that is BCIM corridor, then India, Myanmar, Thailand trilateral corridor, so as to connect this northeastern region to the other parts of the countries as well, or to the other countries as well. So in conclusion, what we can do, we can write some way forward that India is in the Amrit Kal, and India is aiming to get the status of Viksit Bharat, developed country, by 2047. And for that, we need to develop whole of the India in an inclusive manner. And for that, we need to develop our northeastern region, and for that we need to put more and more investments for the infrastructural development, for the increased or the enhanced connectivity with that region. Okay, so this way you can write the conclusion. Moving on to the model answers, starting with some basic strategic location of that and challenges, then measures taken by them, finally conclusion in 1 or 2 line. Okay, moving on to the third question. What are the key challenges faced by Indian Railways in terms of capacity constraints? It means they are highly congested, they are running more than their capacity. So there are some concerns with regarding to the capacity and modernization. The signaling system, the tracks, etc., they are old. So we need to write down the challenges associated with these two issues and how can these challenges can be addressed. So in introduction, you can write about the development of the railways. You can also write something that if we do the capital expenditure, it shows the multiplier effect in the economy. And see, there are some sectors which shows the high or the larger multiplier effect. Some sectors can show the lesser multiplier effect. So the transportation sector is that sector which shows the higher multiplier effect, and out of transport, railways is one amongst those which has a huge potential to increase the multiplier effect. So let's suppose railways is there. There are the backward linkages, forward linkages. If we are building some infrastructure with respect to railways, let's suppose we are laying the track for the railways. We need cement, we need iron and steel, we need land, we need human resource. So investing, like suppose 100 rupees for laying this track, this is creating the huge demand, that is the backward linkage. And whenever this track is working, the rails and the cargos are moving over there. So again, how the forward linkages it enhances, it improves the transportation, improves the connectivity, etc. So it has a huge potential for the backward and forward linkages. Approximately 5 to 6 times it has a multiplier effect. Okay, so doing the capital expenditure in this particular sector will stimulate the economic growth in a very huge numbers. So starting with the body capacity constraints. So what are the capacity constraints with respect to the railways? First is the saturations on the key routes. So what are the saturations? Like they are moving on the capacity like approximately 150%. The optimal capacity is about 80 to 90%, but some trains are running at this particular range. So yes, there are the overcrowding issues, and due to this delays are also there, accidents are there. Then infrastructural bottlenecks. We have the limited tracks, outdated signaling system. So this increases the inefficiencies in the whole railways. Then locomotive shortages. Again, the aging fleet, insufficient replacements of those old fleets, it causes the delays. Next is about the financial constraints. We have the limited budgetary allocations for the improvements. Next is about the urban congestion. Rising population is putting the strain on the suburban networks. Like you can take an example of the local trains in Mumbai. So these are some issues with respect to the capacity. Then comes to the modernization. Again, the aging infrastructure, the tracks are outdated, old, accidents are over there, the signaling systems are outdated. Again, collisions happen due to the old signals, due to the outdated signals. Next is about the financial constraints, limited funding, and it puts a strain on coming up with the new technological advancements like the high-speed railways and the station modernization. Next is about the operational inefficiencies. Again, the bureaucratic delays, rigid labor regulations, so this hampers the efficiency. Next is about the competition from the other modes like roads and railway, airways. Also, you can take an example of the bullet train. The bullet train, so this particular bullet train has the optimal efficiency if we take it from the 200 to 800 kilometer. And less than this is not efficient. Like if we build a track for more than, like if we want 100 kilometer railway track for the bullet train, that is not the optimal utilization, and that will bear the huge cost. So this particular range is the optimal range for the bullet train to work, and after that also it will bear the high cost, and for that, and also it will take the longer time. Then people will ignore that and take the airways. So that is why it has the optimal range or the efficient range in this particular kilometers only. So for that, we are the question was the competition from the other modes of the transport. So yes, the pricings are like that. If we want to be from the one place to another, even like if we have the opportunity to go by airways and via trains, obviously if they cost the same, then we'll go by the airways, so that the time is less for that particular transportation. Next is about the safety concerns, the accidents due to the level crossing, trespassings are there, then outdated safety measures. Then how we can address these challenges? First is about decongesting the networks. Dedicated freight corridor we are making, so that the freight would move on the separate tracks, the passenger train would move on the separate tracks. Then high speed operations. Instead of putting on the tracks the bullet trains or the high speed trains, instead of doing these projects, now what we can do, we can remove the bottlenecks in the existing infrastructure. Like we can make rail over bridges, under bridges, we can update our signal automations that can work on the high capacity routes. Next is about unlocking the technical capabilities. Like we can use the conventional technologies to increase the speed of the trains that are already there on the running tracks. Like we can increase the speed of the Rajdhani, we can increase the speed of Shatabdi, so as to reduce the logistics costs also, and so as to improve or modernize this railways also. Next is about we can identify what is the viable intercity routes, so that we can also build some high speed bullet trains also. Next is about the effective networking and diplomacy. So the Indian Railways is a part of International Union of Railways, so we take the good technologies, best practices out of there also. Then PPP and technology, we need to boost the public private partnership, we need to increase the technological advancements in the railways. Like we can modernize our stations, the platforms, and for this government has one committee, Bibek Debroy committee. He has also recommended with respect to the private sector participation and how to increase the technology in this railways. Next is about Kavach. So this is the automated train protection, so as to reduce the train accidents and to improve the efficiency of the movement of the trains. Then finally conclusion, we can write some summary over there, or you can write some way forward, that again for Amrit Kal and for Viksit Bharat, we need to put more and more infrastructural development, capital expenditure for the infrastructural development, we need to invest more. For that we have to be more cautious that where we are investing, for that because its multiplier effect is very high, so we can invest in a good amount in this railways to improve the capacity, whatever the restraints are there, and also to modernize the Indian railways, because they will also reap the huge benefits. So moving on to the model answer, starting with some introduction, then challenges in the terms of the capacity constraints, in the terms of the modernization, finally how to there is a need to address and how we will do that, then conclusion. Okay, so this was it from my side. Thank you and have a nice day and keep writing.